Hello, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar this afternoon. My name is Tony Peterson, and I will be your host for today's presentation, where we'll be talking about embracing the future of patient engagement, specifically how we can harness the power of digital transformation within your practice to make it more efficient. My title is the Vice President of Customer Experience here at NextTrust. I have been in the industry for over 20 years. A lot of that time has been spent in product management, support, and sales, where I've spent a lot of time with practices such as yours and businesses such as yours, learning what it is that makes them tick and what the needs you have in order to run your businesses more efficiently. We've got a pretty full agenda here today, so we'll go through the things that we will be covering. The first item that we will talk about today is how healthcare consumer preferences are changing and what's driving that shift. After that, we'll go through industry data and trends in patient engagement and patient behavior, payment behavior, and how that will impact your practice and what you would need to do to adjust to that. We'll then move into why a digital experience for patients should be a top priority for your practice, for your business, in order to be more successful. Next, we'll talk about what you need to know to effectively implement HIPAA-compliant text messaging into your patient engagement strategy. As we all know, text messages have really become the go-to method of communication for most people anymore, and that's where they're communicating, and we need to be there as well. And then lastly, we will go through some tools for automating patient engagement that can save you both time and money. So let's jump into the first item here and talk about what patients want. And really, if you think about it, what they're looking for in their experience with their healthcare providers is a seamless digital experience. During the pandemic, people have gotten used to having digital options wherever they go. They don't want to go back to doing everything manually, and they're willing to find someone who will make the check-in and payments process easier for them. In a survey that is linked at the bottom of the screen there, you'll find that 22% of patients surveyed consider themselves loyal to their current physician or doctor, but they would still be willing to switch to a different office that provided a better digital communication tool process for them. That's 1 in 5 patients who consider you their loyal healthcare provider who would still be willing to move if you don't provide them the digital experience that they're looking for. 54% of patients surveyed in that same survey expressed an interest in monitoring their medical payments online. That's a huge increase. Now, every time we talk about a digital experience for patients, people will say, well, what about all of the elderly patients who are not going to be as interested in that? That's absolutely true, but 54% of patients being interested in monitoring the medical payments online, that's a significant amount. It's a majority, of course, and if you aren't adapting to meet these people where they are, someone else is going to, and they're going to be willing to move. Can you do without 1/5 of your patients or half of your patients if you continue down the path that you might already be on? Or does expanding and offering them a digital experience that is different than what they have right now seem like a way that you could help prevent some of that transition and those patients from leaving? What is your practice known for? Most practices or providers will say excellent care or compassionate service. But this doesn't matter if the only thing that the patient ever remembers is how annoying it is to pay their bill. If you take Netflix, for example, payment happens so seamlessly with Netflix that customers never even have to worry about it. Now, healthcare is a whole lot more complicated than a simple streaming subscription service, but practices can simplify their patient payment process. What are some of the ways that you can use to do that? First, you can make it easy for the patient to pay. The less they have to think about it, the better off they are. They won't remember the the amount that they paid if you give as much if you give them a seamless experience for paying it. Patients are acting more and more like consumers, and what consumers want is convenience. So in order for us to meet that demand from our patients, we need to offer quick, easy-to-use payment options that also need to be safe and secure. And then last but absolutely not least, we need to make sure that patients are aware of their payment options. They need to know that you offer a payment plan, for example, or automatic payments or online payments. If you're not communicating with your patients and making sure that they know what their options are, then it's not really surprising if they don't take advantage of those options. So let's talk about 4 different tools that you can utilize to improve the patient's digital experience, to keep that 1 in 5 or in the other survey number, half of those patients from looking elsewhere to receive their healthcare needs. The first thing that you need to be looking at is appointment and payment reminders that utilize text and email. We need to communicate with our patients where they already are, their phones. If you send out easy to confirm appointments without ever having to have the patient speak to anyone, they're going to be far more likely to use that. We also need to utilize these communication tools to notify patients of their financial obligation far faster than we are. If all we do is drop a statement in the mail, we are waiting for that time that it takes for that statement to go through the post office and arrive at the patient's home or apartment before they even begin to think about paying it. If we send out an immediate text notification, it's going to be far faster that they respond. So let's take a look at some quick facts about text messaging. 1 in 3 people check their text messages within 1 minute of receiving those texts. 1 in 3, 33%. If you're communicating their responsibility to pay, you know that 33% of your patients are seeing that responsibility within a minute of receiving that text. 85% of all consumers check their messages within 1 to 5 minutes of receiving a text message. And that's staggering. If you consider sending out a notice of obligation to a patient via text message, you know that 85% of them are going to see and know what they need to do within 1 to 5 minutes of receiving that message. It's also interesting, in the same survey, it was noted that 49% of those consumers surveyed said that they were likely to opt in to receive text messages related to their health care. Half of patients said, I'm interested in receiving texts that talk to me about my health care. That's more than banking and finance, far more than travel. It is the second highest opt-in rate out of any industry surveyed. E-commerce and retail is the only one that was higher than healthcare, and only by 3%. So if we communicate with our patients in this manner, not only are they going to see it faster, but they're going to be happier with the experience. As you can see, about half of them are saying they want to communicate that way. The data gets even more interesting on this slide. Millennials check their smartphones over 150 times a day on average. Think about that. How often are those same millennials going and checking their mailbox? How many of them are checking their email inbox 150 times a day? They're looking at their phones all day long. Sending electronic statements in addition to paper statements typically cuts the average days to payment from 20 days down to 9 and boosts the percentage of full payments rendered from 77% to 95%. So if you had a technology available to you that would cut it by more than half the amount of time it takes a patient to pay, 20 down to 9, and gave you a 95% full payment rate compared to a 77% full payment rate, It seems like a no-brainer. It's something that you and your practice need to implement if you're wanting to take advantage of the trends that are there. If you're wanting to make sure that you're getting paid the amount that you need to get paid in order for your office to be financially viable. Now, there's a lot of do's and don'ts, some guidelines here for maintaining HIPAA compliance for your text and email communication. On the left-hand side there, you can see what a text message from BillFlash to your patients would look like. If you're wanting to maintain your HIPAA compliance, you do need to implement policies and procedures that address technical, administrative, and physical safeguards. Now that means that the technical solutions that you're using need to be HIPAA compliant, but as you know, it's not just a software that creates HIPAA compliance, it's the practices within your business, within your practice. So your administrative practices, controlling access to the data, as well as physical safeguards of where that data and how that data is stored are going to be critical for you to consider as you are setting up your processes as well. The service that you utilize must have a secure sign-on process that utilizes encrypted messaging delivery and read receipts, and also offers a date and time stamp. The vendor that you select must provide a business associate agreement. Lastly, you need to make sure that you look for a vendor that has several years of industry experience and a good reputation for delivering patient communications in a HIPAA compliant way. And that's something that NextTrust has done for you for more than 20 years now. Let's take a look at some of the policies that you might be able to implement within your practice in order to maintain that HIPAA compliance. First off, confirm the recipient of your text before you send it out. Make sure that you're sending it to the right person. Confirm the delivery and receipt of the text. Making sure that the information was received is ideal. When you're sending out text-based communications, don't use shorthand or abbreviations. Ensure that your staff is reviewing the text prior to sending to make sure that they're accurate. And make sure that you're checking for those dreaded autocorrect functions that have embarrassed all of us at some point in our lives. All text messages that are used in the clinical decision-making process need to be documented in the medical record. So make sure that if you're sending out anything that is clinical in nature, that you're recording that within your EHR. Also ensure that you delete all texts that contain any PHI as soon as the information is no longer readily needed. And then if you have any mistakes that are made because you didn't implement those types of policies, make sure that you report any and all texts that are sent to the wrong intended individual to your HIPAA security officer or your IT department as quickly as possible. Second technology that we're going to talk about today is automated payments. Automated payments are something that are widespread throughout most industries. Think about how you pay your electric bill, your gas bill, your cable bill. Any of these utility bills have been utilizing automated payments for years now. Now, a lot of times we hear in healthcare, well, that's not something that our patients are interested in. In these same surveys, 43% of patients surveyed expressed an interest in automated payments. What is the benefit? Why are they looking for those automated payments? Well, for a patient, it simplifies the payment process so they don't have to think about it. And that's what you want them to do. You don't want them thinking about what they paid or how hard it was to pay when they came to your business, to your practice. You want them to think about and remember the care that was delivered to them. So taking it out of their thought process is going to be very beneficial to you and your business. It's also very safe and secure. It increases the likelihood or the ability for those patients to make those payments. And that leads to the benefit to your practice. It is a very fast, simple, and easy way to ensure that you are paid in full and on time. If you set up 43% of your patients with automated payments, meaning that as soon as a statement was sent out, instead of receiving a statement, they were charged the amount that was there up to an agreed upon cap that the patient set, that makes sure that you're getting paid as soon as those statements are sent for 43% of the statements that you're sending out. How much time and effort would that save your practice as you go out and do the work that you do on a daily basis? It also allows you to control which payments are automated and how much is withdrawn. So you can go through and set up individual patients on automated payments or set them onto automated payment plans. And you have full control over the amount that is being charged in that circumstance. It's also important that we offer our patients flexible online payment options. Most of your patients are looking for all of their goods and services online, and healthcare is no exception to that. When they're looking for a doctor, when they're looking for care, they are looking online. So when they're paying for their goods and services, they're paying online, and that's the same thing in healthcare. So if you offer online payment options to your patients, what does that bring to your patients? Why would they be interested in that? It allows them to pay you at any time, including before the visit starts. If you were able to collect most of the revenue that the patient was going to owe for each visit before the visit begins, that increases significantly the likelihood that you're going to receive payment for those services. It also allows the patient to monitor their billing and payment activity all on their own. It gives them that sense of control, whereas when they're paying within the practice, it's not quite the same. So what's the benefit to you and your business for offering flexible online payment options? It significantly reduces the amount of manual work that you and your staff have to do and reduces the calls into your office. It also ensures that you get paid sooner and more often, which is the whole point of this discussion. In order for your business to remain open and viable, you need to get paid for the services that you deliver. And with patients bearing a larger and larger portion of the burden of paying for healthcare, you need to make sure that you're offering those flexible options in order to capture as much of that revenue as possible to keep your business viable. Let's talk about payment plans for a minute. 90% of patients surveyed say they plan to pay their bill in full if they are given flexible payment options. Are you providing flexible payment options to your patients? Are you allowing them to set up a payment plan that breaks their $500 charge up into 5 different $100 payments that they might be able to more easily manage within the cash flow of their household? This removes one of the biggest barriers to payment, which is financial hardship. If I were to ask you to say, do 90% of your patients pay their bills in full? I don't think that there's very many practices out there who would be able to say 90% of their patients are paying in full right now. It's just not the way that the economic model is working. But if patients say they would pay in full if they were given options to break it up into multiple payments, it increases the likelihood that they're going to actually do so. Now, I don't know if 90% is the number that you could expect to receive. In fact, I would doubt that you're going to get all the way up there. But if you could get closer to that than you are right now, that would be a great boon to your practice financially. The key in all of this is making sure that you are communicating with the patient. When you are communicating with your patient, when you're talking with them, make sure that they are aware of all of the different options that you and your business are offering them before the visit begins, and encourage them to choose one of those options. If you wait until after the visit is completed in order to set up a payment plan, you've lost a great deal of leverage that you have in getting them to actually agree to it. If you're asking them for automated payments before the visit begins, you're far more likely to get that agreed to than if you're waiting until after the visit is over. So make sure that you are communicating during the intake process, letting them know what options your practice is offering, and encouraging or requiring them to make a selection in that regard. In all of these different discussions, BillFlash Services offer you a partner in offering a digital patient experience. Communicating the financial obligation that your patients have and getting paid for the services that you render has never been easier. With BillFlash from NextTrust, we offer you a one-stop shop that will arrange for you and allow you to receive online pre-visit payments, in-office payments, provides text and email, e-bill notices of the patient's responsibility that can facilitate the patient making online post-visit payments. We also offer stored and automated payment plans, as well as the automatic payments that we discussed earlier on. If you sign up for BillFlash services, including BillFlash Pay services, all of these different features come without having to sign up for something else. You don't have to go with a different vendor. You don't have to pay a separate fee. All of those things are offered to you under one roof. BillFlash really is your one-stop shop for increasing the efficiency of the patient payment experience. We integrate with more than 100 billing applications. BillFlash also allows you to consolidate your workflow into a single, easy-to-use platform to manage your billing, payment, and collection processes. All of our services work seamlessly together to streamline your vendors into a single application that offers unified reporting and a single support phone number. With e-bills and e-bill notices, getting paid from your patients has never been easier. As we've talked about, the sooner your patients receive their bills, the sooner you get paid. A free online e-bill is created with each approved bill and available to view and pay the same day at our self-pay patient portal, myproviderlink.com. We also offer customizable e-bill notices that allow you to send same-day notifications to your patients via text and email off of the same statement file that you would send up to process paper statements. We also offer customizable templates that allow you to control the messaging that goes to the patients. If you want to have control over what is said on these bills and these statements that are sent out, we offer you complete control. E-billing eases the patient payment experience for both patients and practices by giving patients their preferred e-bill notices via email and or text, where they can view and pay for their bills in a few clicks. If you make it easier for them to pay, it doesn't guarantee that they'll pay, but it increases the likelihood that they're going to pay. And then e-bill generated online payments will eliminate the costs and hassles for your staff to handle payments in the office. If more of your payments are made online by patients by themselves, then you don't have to pay someone to sit at the front desk scanning and taking the credit card payments. We also offer bundled savings, where if you send an e-bill notice via email and or text, you can do so for the same price. Getting additional discounts is possible when you send these e-bill notices along with mailed bills. If you pair e-bill notices with mailed bills, you're going to greatly accelerate the payments that those patients are making. If you remember back to the survey that we shared with you earlier in the presentation, the amount of time that it takes them to pay their bills goes from 20 days down to 9. BillFlash Pay services make it easy for your patients to pay 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We offer a complete suite of payment solutions. Our modern EMV terminals will accommodate all in-office payments or office pay transactions, as well as payments over the phone. We will support popular payment methods such as Apple Pay and Google Pay. We even provide advanced features such as Card Account Updater, which will automatically update a patient's stored card on file if it expires or if a new card is issued. Our bank will communicate with the bank that issued the card that the patient is using and automatically update that so that you don't have to worry about it and you don't have to worry about missing out on payments because of card expirations. We also will provide access into all of the popular features that we've talked about today, such as online stored payment methods, automatic payments or auto pay, automated plan payments or plan pay, as well as pre-visit payments that are offered through the service known as Linked Pay from BillFlash. If you combine pay services with e-bill notices, it really is a match made in heaven. It simplifies the process and the look that the patients deal with in order to make the payment, which reduces the number of calls that your office is going to take, makes it simpler for the patient, which results in faster and more complete patient payments. On the right-hand side of the screen here, you'll see 3 different phones. On the left-hand phone, you'll see the text message that the patient would receive out of BillFlash. The second screen is where the patient would be taken. If they clicked on the link that came in the text message, it would allow them to sign up or sign in. They also have the ability to pay their statement utilizing guest pay. So that doesn't require a user to log in. So if your practice doesn't want to manage the process of helping patients with their usernames and passwords, guest pay from BillFlash is a great way to do so. When those payments are made on the phone right then and there, the patient is also provided, when finished, a receipt. All of that is done without your staff having to intervene. We also offer integration with multiple EHR and practice management systems where these payments can automatically feed back into your accounting system to make it easy for you to then just simply apply it to the charges that are appropriate, or utilize the automatic posting processes that your software offers. Additionally, we offer a service known as Gateway Only, which allows you to have a lot more choice and more freedom. This Gateway Only service allows you to keep your existing merchant account provider and still have access to all of the different features that we talked about today, including stored pay, auto pay, and plan pay. This will work with most processing partners. There are a few exceptions to that. If you'd like more information on it, at the end of our presentation, we're going to share a slide that has contact information where if you have questions about that, you can ask one of our representatives if your partner or if your merchant account provider is supported by Gateway Only from BillFlash. Finally, the last service that we're going to talk about today is the integrated collection service from NextTrust BillFlash. This really does the difficult work for you and your business. If you utilize the integrated collection service from NextTrust, you can experience the following: a first in the industry convenient submission model with customer-controlled rules that will generate recommendations for collection services. You can then review and approve which accounts are sent. What does that mean? Essentially, what it means is that when you send your statements to BillFlash, we're going to scan them, look at them, and suggest to you, here are some that you could send to collections. You don't have to. You can remove someone from that list. You have full control. You can add people to the list. If you don't want the recommendations to be made, we allow you to turn that off and manually select them as well. You have complete control over the experience that your patients and your staff are going to have with the NextTrust Collections service. This provides you a unified workflow that allows you to send the recommended patients to collections using the same process that you're using to send statements. Statements and collections are almost cousins within the process that most practices follow. You're talking about the patient responsibility. The only question is how old is that responsibility and what needs to be done. With BillFlash, We combine those into one process that allows you full control, so it makes it a lot quicker and easier for you to utilize. We also allow you to customize how soft or aggressive you want the staff to be as they speak with your patients. If you want them to use a far lighter touch as they communicate with your patients, trying to retrieve that revenue for you, we're happy to do that for you. A number of practices have said they want the collections to be fairly aggressive and make sure that those patients are paying their outstanding amounts to the best of our ability. We can be also as aggressive as you'd like us to be. You have full control of saying how aggressive do you want those representatives to be as they're communicating with your patients. We also have a focus on older balances. And when we say older balances, we're looking for things that are 90 days to a year old. That's where we're really going to be able to do the most work for you in collecting on outstanding balances. If we're focused on 90 days up to a year, maybe 2 years, that allows you and your staff to focus your efforts in collecting from patients on the more recent visits, which are far more likely to be successful. This allows you to free up time for your staff to go do other things that are needed within your business. I've never spoken to a practice that says they have enough time in their day to do all the different things that they need to do. And the day that I meet one, then I will eat those words. But most practices are very, very busy. So this isn't about taking work and making someone obsolete. This is about repurposing them to the things that aren't being done right now. Another very unique part of the integrated collection service from BillFlash is that all recovered payments that our agents receive will be received directly using the same merchant account that you use through BillFlash Pay Services. That means that their payments are being placed into your bank account immediately as soon as the patient makes them. You're not going to have to wait for an end of the month remittance where the collection agency has aggregated all the payments that were made and send you back your portion minus their fees. We will immediately drop those into your account, and then at the end of the month, you'll receive an invoice for the recovered payments. Our recovery specialists are certified in all 50 states. And really what we do is we'll take the difficult work so that you can focus on providing the best patient care possible. So that is the end of our presentation here today. We believe that the different services that we've talked about today and the things that you need to do, if you implement the things that we've discussed on today's call, you're going to be far more successful as a business. Your patients are going to be happier, more likely to stay with you. And you'll find that your staff has more time to do all the different things that they need to do. We appreciate you giving us some of your time here today. If anything that we talked about was interesting for you, if you'd like to learn more, you can schedule a demo at billflash.com, or you can call us at 435-940-9213, or email us at getpaid@billflash.com. Thank you very much for the time that you spent with us here today. We look forward to speaking with you again soon.